So New York has a balanced budget. Nobody believed Mamdani could actually do it. He brought a $12 million budget deficit all the way down to zero. Since Mamdani is a self-proclaimed democratic socialist, the status quo and the idea around them has always been that they don't know how to handle money and they don't know what they're doing financially. But Mamdani has officially broken that stereotype. He has been doing incredible things for New York. He's created a city-funded free daycare system. He has expanded free childcare, and he's put hundreds of millions of dollars into repairing old, broken, rundown public housing projects and other things like increasing spending on parks and on libraries and everything like that. And so these are things that we've all heard for the last 10, 15 years that aren't possible to do without debt. And so we can't do these things. But Mamdani is currently doing this. So what voodoo like magic did he actually do? Well, one of the biggest savings was securing a deal with this lady right here, the governor of the state of New York. He secured about an $8 billion deal that spread across the next 2 years. And this seems like maybe a one-time thing, but in reality, New York City generates over 50% of the revenue for the state itself, and it only gets back about 40% of that. So really, this is just like a push towards getting more of what New York City actually generates for the state. The one that is the most problematic is the retirement fund. So he pushed back the payment for the fund from 2032 to 2037. Now, obviously, people are still going to get their payment funds. They tend to have like an extra amount that they pay, and so he's delaying that for 5 more years. And this can definitely cause problems, especially if the economy becomes worse or stagnant, because the interest will just keep on compounding. But ideally, Mamdani has been focusing on like increasing the economy and making it better, and so in that case, probably won't actually matter. Please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. I've always been looking to expand the middle class and make things more affordable for people who might not be so well off. And his idea is that in doing this, the economy will obviously expand. He has been focusing on a lot of stuff that is like small fees, like bus fees. Obviously, he hasn't done that yet, but other things like the daycare, childcare, libraries, like all of these things are small little fees that might be frustrating for people. And he has been making sure that these things are accessible for everyone. Throughout a lot of the positives that I've already talked about, one of the biggest surprises to a lot of people is the crime rates. The crime rates have been at a record low in New York since Mamdani has taken office. He has been the mayor with the least amount of crime in maybe in the history of New York, which is insane to think about, especially because a lot of people were pushing the idea that his policies and his ideas are just going to increase crime in the city. There's some other small things, such as there was a huge snowstorm in New York and they shoveled it at a record time. He was paying people, I believe, $25 an hour to shovel. Like, I would have done that. Okay. Other things like he's been filling potholes at a record rate, and it's kind of insane to see how many potholes not only there are in New York, like that's a lot of potholes, but also that he's been filling them so fast. And to no surprise, this has been driving a lot of hate in the political scene, especially from long-term established politicians from both the Democrats and the Republicans. He has been pushing the status quo of what is truly possible in the world. Before Mamdani, a lot of people viewed democratic socialism as this utopia, this perfect thing that could never happen, could never work. Like, these things were unreachable within the actual real economy, but Mamdani has proved this wrong. Your typical Democrat who have been running for ages see what he is doing as an attack on themselves. These guys would always say, oh, these things are not possible. We can't do that. We can't fund these things because the debt will go out of control. Which is funny because the debt would go out of control under them anyway, and they wouldn't do any of this stuff. Things like potholes, daycare, we can't do these things. Like, it's just not possible. But Mamdani is doing these things, and people are trying to find things to hate on, but he has been so transparent about what he's doing, about where the money is going, about what his plans are going forward. It's truly hard to find anything that he is doing problematic. There are things that you might not agree on, but he's being open about why he's doing it, and he has been open about changing it if it doesn't actually work, which I think for a politician nowadays is very impressive. Even if you don't agree with him, you do have to look at his transparency and go, wow, that's impressive. One of the biggest things people have grasped onto is taxes. Now, everybody loves taxes, of course. Specifically, he has raised the tax for people who own a second home in New York that's over $5 million who aren't a resident in New York. So that applies to so many people, and I bet all of the people that applies to are amazing, incredible people, and they mean the best for the city. But the main complaint with this is capital flight. It's the idea that if taxes are raised too high, people are going to leave. This is an issue, right? People have been saying this for the last like 40 years. You go look back in like the 1990s, and there's clips of people saying, oh, people are going to leave New York. People aren't going to leave New York. New York's too awesome. But I can see how people might say, oh, it's different this time, right? Mamdani seems a lot more serious about raising taxes higher and about actually enforcing the taxes, right? But you have to look at it in reality. Your average businessman who's making over $1 million a year, are they truly going to uplift their entire life? Like, their family is all there. Their kids go to school there. Their colleagues are there. Their connections are there, right? Their businesses and everything they have is there. They're not going to move, save 3% on their tax, right? Like, there's so much worth about being in New York and living in New York that it just simply does not make any sense. When people move from New York, where do you think they go? Texas? Florida? No, they go to California, which is like the same thing. And it's because these two areas just have so much pull on everything, on businesses, on so much stuff that like these are the places to be if you want to make money. You know, if you live in some small little random town and they're like, we're going to raise your taxes, you're like, okay, I don't want to be here. But like New York, California, like they actually have the ability to do that. A lot of the hate on Mamdani is not really based off of facts and what you're actually seeing. A lot of the changes in New York have had many positive effects, but people just like to hate, and especially on someone who's pushing the status quo and is different from what you would regularly see. Pushing what it really means to be a politician and what you can and can't do. You know, he's showing that change is possible, that things are possible, and things like government can actually make a positive change in people's lives. You know, there's this old kind of sentiment that government is bad, and although have seen some of that in the past, he's changing that. He's showing government can actually be good and can have positive benefits. You know, I think he's shown that a lot of older politicians just simply didn't have the will to try things out. They were scared to try things out, and I think that's something that you can look at Mamdani and really go, wow, like this is impressive, right? Like he's genuinely trying things out. And it's funny because when he actually does these things, some people look at it as if Mamdani is like hating on their way. They're like, you can't do these things that I said were impossible because now I feel offended that you did them. There's been this wave of younger progressive Democrats, specifically like mayors. There's been a couple like governors that have been doing it, and it's surprising to see that the Democratic Party isn't like hard pushing these people and trying to find more of these people, and are instead like scared of it, right? Like these people are winning the youth vote. Like Mamdani's had record highs in youth voting, and he got like 90% of the youth vote, and he's been doing great stuff. He's had great positive effects, and I'm just shocked that people aren't latching onto this and trying to promote this, as this is the future, right? And so I don't know, I think it's cool to see how he's gonna continue to push the status quo, and he's going to continue to do a lot of these positive things that you're seeing with him now. So New York's been super excited to hear about. I love hearing about what's going on in New York, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I will see you in my next video.